Pisces, welcome to your September reading. I'm so sorry about August. My voice just wouldn't get better and I needed just a little time to not speak at all. Didn't end up getting much, but every time I spoke it would get worse. So we're back. My voice is finally to the point where it's not squeaking anymore. So let's get going. September. It feels impossible to get the words out. You want to, but it feels like every time you speak, you're hurting somebody, or people are taking what you're saying the wrong way and taking it to heart even when it doesn't apply to them. For some reason, your words are creating chaos where actually there doesn't have to be a lot. You're also getting some news about either a past relationship or a person that you used to be with that is now with someone else or with someone you know, and just the news of this person can be really disconcerting. It's important that you understand why whatever happened between you and that person didn't work out. It's important to understand whomever you would like to speak to and clarify things with. It's important to understand why the words aren't coming out yet. Until the 15th, your words are cutting way deeper than you want them to, and you want to just keep them to yourself. Even though you have a lot to say, and a lot of it seems very productive to you. It's like, I'm giving good advice, I'm saying the right thing, I can see things very clearly. The moon is in my sign, it's a full moon. I see myself and I see others very clearly, and I'm trying to help. I'm trying to perhaps aggressively help, but I am trying to help you win. I see, the holes in your plan. I'm trying to help you ascend past where you are, past whatever plateau you're at. And this is not being received well. You mean it with the best of intentions, but but people don't seem to view it that way at all. Instead, what they see is you perhaps blaming them for things that they feel are your responsibility. So you're out here noticing things in other people, noticing the flaws, the drawbacks, the holes in their plan, the holes in their logic, and they don't see it that way at all. They see it as you blaming them for things that are in your control, for things that are your responsibility. So it's very, very confusing. You're well aware of how badly things are going or how they're not working well, right? So it's like this tremendous effort for you to ignore what's going on and to create enthusiasm and effort where you see that none exists and you can see why something isn't working. Again, your enthusiasm and your effort, it's what is needed. You criticizing the situation or even observing and commenting on it is not going to help. So lighting your own jets is what helps, right? You can't burn your fire bright enough to light anybody else's jets. You just need to burn your own fire at this point. You've been bored for a long time. Okay, and I have it written here in caps, and you can't really stand some people anymore that you've had around you. It could be colleagues, it could be a lover. You're just not feeling them anymore. And perhaps this is because, the past is coming back at you during Mercury retrograde and you're remembering times when you were much happier, much more excited. Or perhaps it's just the knowledge, that's cascaded over. You've had this epiphany very recently where you're thinking, I'm just not happy. I'm not intrigued by this person in any way anymore, which means what? Which means that you've continued to evolve and they haven't. And, it's confusing to you now because there is love, there is affection, there is communication, but you're so bored you can't see straight. And you're wondering to yourself, is that a reason to get out of a relationship? Or is that a reason to let go of a friendship? Is that a reason to let go of a job? And the Nine of Cups is a very clear answer, right? You don't want to live a life where you have to kind of ignore what fills you up and what doesn't, where you just put it behind you and think it'll take care of itself and I'm just going to focus on what's in front of me. You deserve to live a life where you feel completely satisfied and contented and on your way to even bigger and better things. You deserve to find that contentedness within your evolution and within your moving forward. So if you're dealing with somebody who to them contentedness is, or success is, you know, getting somewhere and then just sitting there and being like, okay, we made it here, we're successful now, or I'm successful now, that doesn't work for you. And it actually may be where your boredom is stemming from, because their version of evolution is like you get to a certain point and that's it. For you, evolution is a lifelong process, and unfortunately that means that, you know, often you leave a trail of bodies in your wake, because no matter how much you love someone, no matter how much you care for them, no matter how much you want to genuinely, you know, give them this love, what are you supposed to do when they're doing this and you're doing this? It's very difficult to reconcile these two energies. And you're always planting seeds. You're always moving forward. You're revising things constantly because you want to be the best version of yourself in any given moment. And even though when this person, whomever they are, stopped evolving, they were at the best place they could be at the time, a long time has passed since then. And you may not really know how to broach the subject, you know, because it's hard to tell someone that they're stagnant. It's difficult to explain that nothing is really wrong except that you can't continue with this level of boredom. Like it's funny, there's so many things that you can say to people that won't hurt them that bad, but if you tell someone that you don't find them interesting, they'll just be devastated, right? And that's what it comes down to, is that this person, this thing, this friendship, this job, it's just no longer interesting to you. And that's more of a barometer, you know, we can use that as more of a barometer of how much you've changed as opposed to how much other people haven't changed. Because we don't want to judge. We don't want to look at them and say, oh, well, this is why. It's just as easy to say, I've evolved, I've changed, it's me. You know, I no longer feel comfortable in this. It's not because you haven't, although it is, but you know, you don't want to put it on them. That's a big part of this, is that although there is blame to be assigned, although there are many people who are culpable, you want to keep this as close to you as you possibly can, because ultimately you're the one who is not happy. You're the one who's going to be making changes. You're the one who will benefit from these changes. So there's no point, you know, in pointing fingers and assigning blame right before you leave anyway. Let's not do that. Okay, let's take a deeper look at this and the cards in the next section here, and I'll see you in the extended. All the links are below. Love you. Hi Pisces, welcome to your look at the cards, and we'll get into it more extensively in the extended. So here's a look at the cards. And I'm just going to go through this astrology a little bit more with you. Okay, so if you have some situations where you've been breaking up and going back to, or quitting and going back, or a project you've been like abandoning and going back to over and over again, this is a time period where those temporary breakups, the temporary leaving, can turn into something sudden and permanent. Okay, so it's important, if you feel not your best about something, that you realize that the coming and going isn't going to work anymore. You have to make a permanent decision, because it will be made for you in September if you hesitate. Okay, so there's that. This sudden but permanent break can spiral you into a place of, I really need to reevaluate how I deal with people, because I didn't feel like what has happened to me is justified. I don't feel like I'm, you know, this is justified behavior. So what is it that I'm doing, right? And why does it seem like the people around me are changing rapidly and not for the better? That's the part that's getting you. It's like they are changing. They're not evolving. They're just changing, and they're not changing for the better. And it's really disconcerting, and it's very troubling to you, right? So you may be thinking, okay, this is one of those times like so-and-so is going through something, whether it's your significant other, family member, boss, colleague, right? Whomever it is, sibling, you're like, okay, they're just going through something. This is what we do. This is our pattern. You know, you may find yourself using these words, explaining it to a friend. Oh no, this is just our pattern. This is what we do. We make up, we break up, we, you know, hang up on each other, whatever it is. And then there's this like sudden consequence where it becomes permanent. You're not talking to the person anymore, and they're not picking up your calls, and they don't want to keep doing this. You know, they want to get off this circular ride with you. And that can be sudden, and it can be painful, and it makes you reevaluate your place in things as well. Because it's like, wait, but what, like, why have I been doing this? Why do I keep leaving something and going back to it? Why do I insist that that thing will still be there? Why do I insist on abandoning it just to see if it will be there later? Right? Now, the people around you that are changing rapidly right now, but not evolving, they're giving you great pause, because what the fuck is going on? Right? Why is everyone reverting back, it seems like, to some more toxic, lazy version of themselves? And it's at the same time, until the 15th, you're not really allowed to say much about it, because it just feels like you're being a hater and being envious. But you're not. You're not. You're just seeing things as they are. The moon is in your sign. You see things as they are. But the people around you are like, have you seen how you are? What about you? You know, this light is also shining all over you. And we see you too. So part of the don't say anything right now, while Mercury is in retrograde, Pisces rising across from you, part of this is, you know, save yourself. Save yourself the embarrassment of people then pointing fingers at you and saying, I see a lot about you too right now that I could say. You know, cover the flaws of others and God will cover your flaws is the vibe here. Okay? So in the extended, we're going to do rapid fire tarot from Aries to Pisces. We're going through, shuffling through for each one and seeing what your energy is like in relation to them. And then we're going to take a deeper look at what happens when Mercury is done being retrograde and moves direct. Now, also, I'd like to point out here that on the 3rd of September, you have Venus going direct in Leo. And on the 4th of September, you have Jupiter going retrograde in Taurus. Okay? So the mix of these two energies is really, really important for you, because you find the cleanest mirror to see yourself in, and the things that people have been saying about you, the doubts you've been carrying about yourself, start to finally go away. They start to disintegrate, right? Because you feel like you can see yourself very clearly now, like who you really are. And all of this is aiding that. So it's a journey towards that. Okay, I'll see you in the extended. Love you, love you.